Okay, so we are left with CI/CD, right? So before we start, I would like to give a quick overview. Uh, Let me present the screen also. Okay. The idea of CI/CD. So CI/CD stands for continuous integration and continuous delivery. Okay. So let me give you a nice. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if I show you, let me open an image. Okay. Okay, so you have continuous integration and continuous delivery. So we have two parts. Okay, so basically, if you see what is continuous integration is basically you build. Let me admit. So in continuous integration, you basically uh, code. Whatever you do it in CAP. Basically you write unit test and all those stuff. Basically, you're basically uh, gathering requirements and creating code out of that, right? And then the next step would be to build it. Using the code which you have, you build your process like we have MTAR, right? So basically you build your project or basically you generate an artifact which can be deployed. Okay. So and then after the build is done, you also have this testing process. Okay. So, there is this unit testing, which again, you only don't do it at customers, but let's say you have to write a unit testing. For example, in CAP, you have frameworks like Jest, and if you're working with, BTP CAP, you know, Node.js, and it's Jest. If you're working with BTP CAP Java, then you have JUnits. If you're working with a WAP, you have a WAP unit, right? So all those things are there, which can be integrated in the test phase. Okay, so you build a project, you run your test. It can be unit test, it can be integration test, and after you're done with this, then you basically start. Then comes the continuous delivery, the second part, okay, where you basically release your, build artifact. Basically, you release it so that it can be deployed. Okay, so when we say release, sometimes what happens is that many companies they keep some sort of a server where that MTAR will be kept. I mean, just to keep a versions. Okay, it's up to your organization whether they want to have release type or not. Uh, but yeah, I mean, because you have this over here, but yeah, you can have some sort of a server where you will keep your artifacts, your build artifacts, okay, just to have some tracking. And then once that release is done, then you deploy, okay, and then finally you start, checking your basically applications. Okay, so that's the overall life cycle, and what is it in continuous integration and what is there in continuous delivery. So why we say continuous integration, continuous delivery, right? So it's like if you there is a bug, right? Let's say, okay, and then let's say the customer saying, hey, this has to be changed. Then you again come into here, right? So you again plan what has to be changed and you code it. Then finally, your pipeline will still do the same thing. It will again build, it will again do the testing, it will again do the release, it will again go for deployment, and finally again you will check, right? Or you will get it checked by the customer. So this comes in kind of a loop, right? That's why you have this continuous integration and continuous delivery. Is it fine? This is terminology. So yeah, so we
Yeah.
plan to do this CI/CD today. Okay. So we will be using this BTP CI/CD service. Okay. So let's see. Again, just to add, so your organization might have a lot of stuff going at. Uh, I mean, your organization might have some other way of having this CI/CD. It might not be BTP CI/CD service. You might use Jenkins pipeline, okay, or some Piper based pipeline. So there are a lot of options, okay, when it comes to using pipelines. It can be BTP CI/CD service, it can be Jenkins, it can be Azure DevOps, based pipeline. Okay, so you have all these forms. Okay, so Jenkins pipeline. Okay, Jenkins CI/CD pipeline is there. Okay, so I mean you see this guy, right? So, but yeah, if you see this, it's also in the same, just a tool, right? Which tool you want. Okay, it's the same thing. You check out basically when you say check out, basically the pipeline will pick the source code from your Git. You start building it, you start testing it, and maybe then it moves to production, basically, staging and production environment. Basically the deployment part, right? So you can use either Jenkins, okay, or you can also go for Azure DevOps. Okay, Azure DevOps pipeline. So which one is better, which one is not? Again, that's a debate, but yeah, overall steps are same. Okay, so if you open this picture, right? So it's the same, right? So in Azure also you have your pipeline. Basically, pipeline has stages. Just to add, uh, again, the stages are there in any kind of pipeline, be it BTP CI/CD service, or Piper-based pipeline, or DevOps, Azure DevOps pipeline, or Jenkins-based pipeline. Okay, you have some stages. So stages are nothing but these steps: build, testing, right? So you might run some Sonar checks, some ESLint checks. If you're running on JavaScript, or Node.js, you can have some ESLint checks. So all such can be the stages in your pipeline. Okay, and then basically it's the same thing. Okay, it's in the similar line. So no such different. It is just that which concept, or which pipeline you want to have. Is it fine? The terminologies. You see, I mean, a lot of diagrams, right? It's in the same thing. Okay, so basically currently we're using GitHub, but in Azure DevOps you can have Azure repos also. Rather than you going for GitHub, you can place your repos on Azure. Okay, but the overall cycle is the same. Okay, so Azure pipeline will basically pick the code from Azure repos, and then it will run this build test phase, basically continuous integration, and finally it will do the release and the deployment. Okay, so the steps remain the same, the concepts remain the same. It is up to your organization which you would like to have, but these concepts remain the same. Okay, so in this one, we are going to see the BTP CI/CD service. That's a quick and easy setup, and very often, basically you don't like to have a separate engineer, right? For DevOps. Okay, there is a separate profile for DevOps based engineer out there in the market. But it's better some basics, okay? And I think BTP CI/CD service definitely plays that role. And then you see, okay, do you need BTP CI/CD service, or you want to keep it in Azure DevOps, or you want to go for Jenkins or some advanced stuff? That's up to you, okay? But yeah, in this course, we plan to do the BTP CI/CD service, okay? So now we are here. So let's go to our service marketplace. So let's see if we have this service. Hopefully, it is there in the trial. So continuous. Okay, it's there, right? So this is the service. You see, configure and run predefined pipelines. So your job is easier. You don't have to really have, a lot of complicated stuff. You don't need to learn Azure concepts. You don't need to learn Jenkins. You don't need to install anything, right? In Jenkins server-based pipeline, you need to install Jenkins, and it is a lot of manual steps are there. So this really kind of helps in automating that. Okay. So you see, you configure and run predefined pipelines. So when you say predefined pipelines, it supports CAP as kind of a pre-delivered pipeline. So I mean, because it's BTP based service, so it obviously understands the CAP and terminologies like MTAR, right? All such things it understands. Okay, but if you're talking about Java, for example, you have some Maven builds which generates a jar file or a var file. Okay, but when it comes to CAP, we know it's an MTAR, right? So it knows how to work with MTAR, okay? How to build that MTAR, how to run the test via that MTAR, how to deploy that MTAR in the in the Cloud Foundry aspect. You have the spaces, right? So what will happen finally when it comes to deployment? You will deploy it to your space, right? correct? This particular thing. It knows all of these things. Yeah. So let's just uh, create this. Okay. This is an app. Okay. Kind of a subscription we are doing. Okay. So it's there in trial plan currently, right? So let's create this. Okay. So you have trial, and in the trial sub account, CI/CD is my service name. Let's create a subscription out of that. So let's see. Meanwhile, it does that. Okay, we have done this. And let me also, I think we need to uninstall, I mean, undeploy that, right? So I will try to deploy it uh, using the CI/CD services so we can undeploy the existing apps, okay? But yeah, let's continue. I will start this bash. Okay, and then let's give our user that authorization, okay? So my user is this, and come here, assign role collection. See CI/CD service, okay? CI/CD. Yeah. So let me assign both, okay, to my user, right? So we have the role collections now. Okay. So now the idea is that moment, you know, a code changes, you push your code to the GitHub. Okay. Again, it can be anything, need not be GitHub. It can be Azure repo as well, for example. But yeah, in our case, it is GitHub. So moment you push your code to GitHub, the pipeline should be triggered. It should build. It should. We don't have any unit test, but let's say we had. So you build it, you run your unit test, and then it should deploy, right? So I hope you're able to imagine the workflow, right? How exactly things are flowing in, right? So that's what we plan to do. Okay, so let me open the GitHub meanwhile. Okay, I think this is logged in. We are in the, yeah. So this was our app, right? Cap app. And then here I can, so maybe let's generate a token, just to access that. Um, Basically, we need to access the GitHub, right? So from CI/CD service. So yeah. So we need to create some credentials for that. Okay. Uh, Let me go to settings. I hope. Yeah. I mean, this menu keeps on changing. And here, developer settings probably. Yeah, personal access tokens. Yeah. So okay, we already have it. Is it tokens that we generated? I think we have it. Do you remember this token? I think I forgot it, but yeah, let me generate a new. Which one was that? Angry and okay. Let me generate this. Okay, first of all, let me just log in. Okay, so I think we should go for this tokens classic. Yeah. Yes, this is better. So I will just say, GitHub token, and then let it expire after 30 days. It's fine. So let me give the authorization. So via this token, I can do all of these things to my repos, right? So I'm giving the full authorization. So mainly it needs a repo access, mainly this one. But yeah, it's fine. You can whatever is for the repo, right? That you should have. but I'm giving everything to this token. Mainly, you need the repo-based access. So let me copy this and put it somewhere. Okay, let me open the text edit. I'm just keeping the token with me. Okay, fine. So I have the token now. And next, so we have two tokens actually. Uh, so this is what I copied, right? One second. Yes, this is out. Fine. Fine. So now let's move ahead, and then let me go to my. Okay, let's start it. So we'll also undeploy parallelly, but yeah, let's come back. So now let me go to my CI/CD, subscription, basically the console of that particular application, this one. So let me open this. Yeah, so you have three things: jobs, repositories, and credentials. And you need to work with all of these tabs. Okay. So first, let me open this credentials tab. Let's set up the credentials. I can click on this add button. Okay, I can give any name. Let's say um, so personal, small letter, personal GitHub. Yeah, and then description is fine. Okay, type will be this, and let me give my username. Right, which I have. Yeah, so this one, this username. Okay, and then my password, which I have. You know, this one, right? The token which is generated. Okay, and let me say create. So maybe let me save this also. Okay, fine. So now we have created this credential, right? So we can create one more. So first of all, what we created is the GitHub. Let's create one more. Okay, I'll call it as deploy BTP deploy basically. Okay, so this credential will be for BTP deploy. Okay, BTP deployment credential, and then I will give my username and password. Okay, so it's not this one actually. So basically my Cloud Foundry, right? My email ID, basically, right? This one, and my sub account. Okay. Again, you will not, this is my BTP, user, but at real time, you will have a separate user, right? Some sort of a technical user. Okay. Currently, I assigned authorization to my user, right? You just saw in the security, right? I just gave myself the full admin role, right? So you will create a separate user and assign that role to that user only, and that is what you need to give over here. Okay. Okay, yeah, so let's just create it. So we have got two credentials now, right? So this credential will be used for deployment into our space, yeah, basically into our sub account over the space. Okay, so now let me go to repositories. Okay, one second, let me just undeploy the existing application. Close all. So now, go to terminal. Let me see the apps. So we have two apps, right? So I can undeploy, right? EF deploy, right? Order mgmnt srv, right? Delete services, right? Let's undeploy and I will deploy using CI/CD. One second, what is the issue? ORDERMG. It is there, right? Why it is saying deploying? Ah, okay. MTA name. Okay, okay. I think it is order MGMT. Okay, probably this is the name. Okay, okay, yeah. So our MTA, I mean, basically there was some renaming, right, which we did. So this is the this is my multi-target application name. So I'm deploying everything around that. Okay, is it fine?
Yeah.
So what is the issue? Ah, okay. Async to binding with null could not be completed. Async service binding within. Okay, okay. Actually, I used to just simply, deploy it like that. Should have worked. Let me try. Yes. Deploy. Is it undeploy or delete? I forgot. One second. Yeah, it is. One second. Let me just Google that command. Re undeploy. Okay. They're talking about deployment or having to undeploy. Delete application. We have delete, is it? Is it as delete or remember or is it undeploy? We have delete app name. PF delete service. This is fine. Now you see, if you are deleting an application that is part of, yeah, that's what I'm doing, right? Undeploy only, MTID. Actually, this is what I was doing, right? So it should have worked. Let me, okay, CFMTAs. Sorry, sorry, sorry. It should not be. Okay, this is the name. Okay, so CF. So first of all, let's delete the apps. Okay, okay. So df delete. I mean, it's a little tricky. So I don't order mg. So this db deployer I can delete, right? This is should be fine. Order mg empty db hyphen deployer an operation for service binding. Okay, let me again try to deploy. So df and deploy order gmt. Okay, hyphen hyphen delete services, or we can forcefully delete also. About VM. Hmm. For login. Yes, 1 second. Let me check. Yeah, I'm missing something. Usually, you simply give this undeploy and it works. If we are already logged in, that's fine, and then it should have worked. Okay, maybe fine, then let's do it like that. CF apps, CF delete order mgmt hyphen db deployer. Okay, and then let me just try to force delete. Okay, what is in progress? An operation for service binding between and order management DB. It's very strange. Let me try from here, okay? Let's go to our base and let me, go to my space. I think, or we can try, giving the full option. Let me, and the last time try, otherwise I will try from there. PFNTS, PF deploy order GMT, okay? Delete services, okay? Hyphen delete. Let me give more deletion option. Delete services, I think uh, service keys and all those things, yeah. Services keys, okay. And then hyphen delete all the bindings. Okay, and what else? Okay, let's try this. Pf undeploy mtid, delete service keys. Ah, there's no binding. Fine, no binding. So let me just try with delete service key. Okay. Uh-huh. Pf undeploy delete the service keys. No, usually just use undeploy command and it deletes everything. But this is coming actually. This is the main culprit. I don't know. It is saying async operation for DB deployer and service instance failed. Okay. Go there. Okay. Let me remove DB deployer binding. Okay, from here first. Order management DB. Okay. It has partially deleted. Okay. I am in which space? I hope I am already logged in, right? Yeah, if I didn't have that, let me check the target. I am in fine. I'm looking fine. Previous services. Okay. Okay, let me do it from there. Okay. Know what could be going wrong, but usually it works. Okay. Usually you just need to give uh, the MTA name and then that's it. Okay, let me do it like that. I don't know. Let me go to the sub account. Let's delete like this. Okay. Manually. Hopefully here I will have option. So order management DB. Let me delete this. You see deletion failed, right? Everywhere I'm getting this. Ah, oh my God. Shit, shit, shit. Arey yaar, you didn't remind me. We have to start HANA. Okay. Right? To that time.
For deletion also we had to.
Yeah, it has to delete HDI container, right? I mean,
Mhm.
I was like, what's going wrong? Okay. It simply is not
Mhm.
giving, it is trying to say DB, something, but it is not able to tell me in detail, right? So yeah, again, here in trial, yeah, it has its own. But yeah, usually CF and deploy and you're done basically. You don't have to individually delete. That's a last resort, okay, if nothing works. Right? Okay, let's come back and so so we have set up the credentials, right? And the next step is to set up the repositories. Okay, so our this first part is done. Then let's come back here. And then what we need to do is add a repository, right? So name, let's say order management. Okay, clone URL. Let me go back and our app is this. Uh, this is our one, right? Yeah. No, no, cap modeling. Sorry. Yeah. No, okay. Cap app only, right? Sorry, it's cap app only. Yeah. See this. Come here. Clone URL. Okay. Credential. I need to hit, right? So which we have created right here credentials. Okay. So this one, and then no cloud connector, webhook credential. Okay. So basically, webhook is basically, we will attach this webhook to here, okay, to my application. So webhook is basically just some sort of a, asynchronous function or a callback, right, which will be triggered. So you have this webhook concept. Okay. If I come here, it is saying for my type as GitHub, right? You see all this Azure repos also it supports, but for us it is GitHub. Okay, so we need to give the webhook. Uh, you know, it should have. Okay, let me webhook receiver. Let me just say add field webhook credential. Okay, create webhook. Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's add a webhook. Okay, so this is my webhook. Okay, webhook credential. Basically, the idea is that moment you push your code, right, to your Git, then it should trigger, right? So you need a webhook for that. Okay, so we'll assign this webhook in the Git. Okay, and then I can simply generate this. Let me copy. Okay, let me again keep it somewhere. Text edit. So yeah, this is my webhook credential. I have it handy over here. And then let's just create. Okay, so let me save here also. So we have attached the webhook also. Okay, and then if I click on add, okay, so basically webhook credentials is there, and this is my webhook, you know, uh, basically an endpoint, okay, which I need to attach in my GitHub. Is this clear? What exactly is a webhook? This is like a hook. The moment you push your code to your Git, this webhook will help us in creation of a CI/CD job. So we'll need to define the job, but basically without this webhook automation, automatically, Git push level CI/CD pipeline based trigger won't happen. So for to automatically trigger the CI/CD pipeline, you need a webhook. Is it fine? So this we will attach. Okay, so we will come back. Okay, maybe let's do it right now itself. So I'll copy this. Okay, and let's go to our repo. This is our repo, right? I come to settings of my current repo. Here I have webhook, add webhook. Yeah, this is my payload, right? This is my payload, what we have. I'm just getting from here, payload URL, right? Content type is application JSON. Okay, application JSON, and then the secret which I have, right? So let me just grab that secret again. Okay, and I'm pasting that webhook secret. Uh, which event like trigger this webhook. So let me disable SSL verification. think it's fine for the time being. If it does not work, then we'll enable. So which event would like trigger? Just a push event. Send me everything. Okay. And then active. Yeah, let's add this. Okay, so we have this now. It's saying this hook has never been triggered. Yeah. So let's go ahead further. And then let's create a pipeline or a job. So this is the main, after configuring credentials and repository, you need to add a job. So let's come back here, create a job. Let's say order management jobs. You can have multiple jobs or multiple repositories, right? Order management CI/CD job. Okay. Management CI/CD job. Okay. So my repository, you can, if you have basically it's already chosen, but basically it is coming from here. Yeah, the repositories tab. Branch. So our branch, I think, is main, if I'm not wrong. The current branch is main, right? So if there is any push to main, so that's where we want to trigger this job. Main. Okay. Now you see this pipeline, right? So you should have, okay. So you see for Kima you have Cloud Foundry, you have for ABAP you have, right? I think it is Cloud Foundry. Previously they used to call it as Cloud Application Programming specifically, but now I think they have changed it to Cloud Foundry environment, which should work for us. Okay. And then build. So now you see build retention. So, after the build is done, how many days should it keep that build, that entire file? So I'm saying 7 days and maximum 50 builds are should be retained just to keep a version of it. Okay. So then you have configuration mode. So you have two options actually, job editor and source repository. So let's start with simple thing, which is the job editor. Okay, basically UI based stuff. Okay. So then my build tool is going to be MTA, right? And build tool version is this. MTA.yaml has my build artifacts, right? What all resources, what all modules you have. So yeah, so our build artifact is in MTA.yaml. Petty code check, we don't have any, but yeah, in your organization you might have, and you can add other stages for linting, like I said, right? So ES lint checks you can add, other configuration you can do. So this is what is coming in the stages. So currently, let's keep it simple. Because we are not writing any unit test. Okay, and if you do lint checks, if you enable any lint checks also, right, that time it will start see, linting basically if there is any semicolon missing, if there's any space missing, curly braces are, not aligned, right? So your print, pretty print has not been done perfectly, right? So all such indentation level issues might start coming in. So I'll not do this for our trial purpose, but yeah, you can obviously add this petty code checks and the lint checks. Okay. Again, unit testing we don't have currently, but if you are having unit testing, so you can add that malware scan. Let's keep it simple, okay? So main. So all these things I'm doing it via UI editor, but all these things can be there in a pipeline in your source code also. Okay, currently I have used this UI editor, right? Job editor basically. If I have source code, then I have to write all of this configuration, all of this, what all things you want in the stages in my GitHub basically. So the configuration will come from my GitHub, but I am doing the simpler way. It's up to you which you prefer. But I think most of the times you will have it in your GitHub. Here you will have a folder called pipeline, and there these stages will be, defined. Okay, instead of this UI. Okay. Okay, so then you have the acceptance step, acceptance stage, which will basically deploy. So let's do this. So my API endpoint, let me come to my overview. So this is my API endpoint, copy, org name. My org is this. This is dev, deploy strategy. Let's keep it default. Credential, right? So now we will pick the other credential for deployment, right? The deployment, BTP deploy. Okay, again, we are not writing any integration text for UI, right? So I don't know if you ever worked with WebDriver, based unit testing, but it is for UI, yeah. I mean, not UI, integration testing. Okay, so we have unit testing and integration testing, right? So currently we have not done anything like that, but if at all you're following, if you're building really a product, you should have this, unit test and integration test. Yeah. Currently, we don't have, so we'll not do that. Again, we don't have any SonarQube server, but SonarQube is basically for your, code level checks. Okay, so you should not have, for example, nested loops, right? So all that your code quality basically can be defined in the SonarQube. So we don't have that. So then is the release, right? So what I did. Okay. So I think let's do it in the release, not here. So I will not do it in the acceptance test. Okay. So let's do it at the release. At the release step, you will usually deploy, right? So let's do that. Sorry, I did it in acceptance. It should be ideally for our use case in the release stage. Okay. Org name. Let me pick the credentials again. Deploy. And yeah, I think that's it. We don't want any notification currently. You will see it from here only. Okay. Save this job. Let's create this job basically. All right. So we have defined a job. We have maintained the repository. We have used these credentials, right? And we have also attached the webhook. Okay. Now let's start this. So see, more usually, okay, first let's, oh, I hope our HANA is started. Yes. Okay. So let's undeploy. Hopefully this time it will work. Cf undeploy order ng empty hyphen delete services.
Vipin, suppose if you are not deploying it to Cloud Foundry, suppose if you are deploying to some third-party system like S4HANA system, right? We can do that as well, right?
Yeah, I have used the CI/CD service mainly for Cloud Foundry only.
Hmm.
But yes, I think you can give a general pipeline, you can have your own pipeline configuration as well. Okay. So let's come back and now it is deleted. So if I go there, right, I go to my space. So you see zero application. I mean, there's no application basically, right? It's all blank, right? So we have deleted everything. And if I come over here, instance description, instances should also be deleted, right? You see, okay, DB is there. Uh, but yeah, basically the app is deleted, right? So if I go there, okay, it is not deleting all of this due to existing service bindings. Okay, so you can always delete it manually. Okay, so delete this. Okay. I mean, I just want to show it from scratch. That's the only thing. Okay. I mean, basically, at least these things will get created. Okay. I will not be, configuring everything again, but just to show, that, services are getting created and apps are also getting created. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay. But definitely you'll have to reconfigure roles and everything, right? You got my point. So, so usually this should be the first step, right? What we're doing at the last. I hope you're getting my point. Usually you will do this CI/CD setup initially, right, for your projects. All right. Okay, so it's going to take some time. Deletion of DB is always, because you have a lot of data. Okay, but yeah, our applications got deleted. Okay, so all this couple of services didn't get deleted due to bindings. But yeah, I'm doing it manually.
So we do not have the pipeline defined in the GitHub, right? For this, like,
Yeah, we have used the UI option, but whatever
mm,
configuration we did, right, basically
mm,
this
mm,
stages. Okay, this
mm,
can be in a YAML. Okay, you see YAML file. Okay, so this is
mm,
my YAML file. Exactly. Yeah, this file, this YAML file, what you have. Okay,
mm,
these stages, whatever you want to define, right? So we skipped many, for example, testing, sonar, cube checks. So whatever you have in your real-time project. So basically, this is the file which will be there
mm,
in my, source code repository. So I have to use the
mm,
option, but basically this file will be there in here in config.yaml file. Okay, like it is suggesting, right? In config.yaml file. Create a file. You see, to configure a job in your repository, create a file, with this folder name and then this name, and then copy this here. Then basically then I will go for the uh, you know I will not go for the UI option. I'll choose the other one. Not job editor, rather the pick it up from the source code basically. That's the only change.
mm.
Taking a lot of time. Deletion failed. Why? Operation for the service by instance is tricky. And let me try again, okay? But I think it's you have understood, right? So we need to have it actually initially. Let me try with this option. There is nothing like that, right? So it has deleted. So and if I go to CX services, just this is not getting deleted, right? Deletion failed. CF delete survey folder mgmp hyphen db hyphen. Let's see if I can forcefully delete from here. Delete in progress. I'm trying from here. Yeah, but if not, I will, I'll just simply run the job. Okay. So ideally, you should have this setup very initially, right? It's always tricky to delete, later on. Ah, okay, it deleted, is it? Yes. So, yes, so it has deleted the DB also. Okay. Now let's run the pipeline. So I can simply click on this run button and it will run this job. Okay. You see it is now going to my GitHub. We're taking the basically this main branch. Okay. That is this stage. So it is basically in my build, step. It is picking the source code. Okay. You can always click on, check the status, refresh. It is still trying. Hopefully there is no issue now. You see waiting for the build to be picked up. Okay. Take some time actually. It is writing on webhooks. Okay, see last delivery was successful, right? Okay, you see recent deliveries. Basically, like it looks like somebody pinged it up. Okay, but yeah, let's see. Go back. It's still, waiting for it. Not even in the log. Okay, at least it has changed something. Preparing container. Okay, so I think it picked up. It took some time. So this is the log you can see, okay, what's happening. But yeah, I mean, I think you can check the logs later on, but basically whatever has CI/CD has to do, right? Git checkout, git pick that repository, right? This is my GitHub URL basically. Right? It's taking. Okay, so init is done. Now it is building. Okay. Now it's going to take some time. Okay. Let me come back in a minute. Okay. Okay, so now it has built is successful, right? And then, but at release step, it faced an issue, right? I don't know why. Let's see. Let me go to release. Logging into Cloud Foundry. Ah, okay. My password is wrong, is it? Yeah, I forgot my password. Okay, 1 second. This is an issue. I'll stop sharing. Okay, let me see my password. Share again. If it doesn't work, then yeah, we need to see other ways. Basically, it's failing at deployment step, so it's not able to log in with my credentials. Okay, let me come here. Release. Think maybe some other error like access authorization or something. Let me re-trigger this. Yeah, you can always re-trigger it. So now we have build number 2, right? Previously we have build number 1, which went in error. Okay. But surprisingly, my credential I think would be same. Maybe I can also see my role. Let me this one, right? Correct. PhD administrator. Let me see what all things I can give. Let me give everything, okay? Probably some validation. If I log in from here, 1 second. PF login. I'm trying my password here. Ah, okay. My password is wrong, is it? Shit. Okay, I don't know. 1 second. Resume recording and reshare. Let's see. Hopefully now it will work. Okay. So now if I log in, let me give my password again. Yeah. Okay. Fine. This time it has worked. Let's see. I don't know. This again it ran. Okay. So let me re-trigger. So it's at the last step where, where the release happens, and then, it was not able to authenticate me, you see. I have reset my password. Let's see. So we are at build number 3. It is running all the stages of that. We are at release step again. Yeah. So finally we are at release step again. Yeah. Let's see. So it has exceeded the previous time. Hopefully things are going well. Okay, it is. I'm not able to click on this release. Let me maximize and then see. Yes, it's running. Let's go to release now. You see, I'm able to log in. Okay, and then it is doing that, deployment. You see, it's basically running the cf deploy command. Are you able to see now? Okay,
Yes,
now
yes.
our thing should be getting created parallelly. I go to instance description. So we deleted destination service, deleted the DB, accessible service. You see, they're back now. Okay, DB is also back. Correct? Okay, so let's just see. Accessible service is also back. Let's go to spaces and see what's happening there. Okay, so release step is still running. So it's basically at the last. Okay, it has failed somewhere. Application this failed. But I think you have understood, right? So it we are almost there. Okay, I'll check this out. Okay, I think it's only at the deployment where it is failing. Okay, fine. I'll check this. Okay. Okay. Let me see. An error occurred while the deployment failed. Fine, I'll check this out, okay? There is some issue at the deployment. Are you able to see the logs? Hello?
Mm, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's some issue at deployment. Probably, like, I mean, you can also run this command, okay, just to see. Maybe CSV file or something like that, okay? But yeah, we are almost there, okay? Previously, it is failing at DB deployer, okay? So if I just go to my bash, okay, let's just see. So DB deployer is the place where we are having error. I think some CSV or okay, you see, it doesn't have a product ID column. Are you able to see this? Invoice items. Okay, okay. I go to invoice items. Okay, I think what's happening is this data. Okay, you're getting a point. This one, invoice items. So there's no column called product underscore ID. Okay, 1 second. Let's. Okay, fine. Let me continue. I've asked my wife to talk. So this is the problem. Okay, are you able to see? So it is saying product underscore ID column is not there because we changed it, right? If you remember. So it is now external, right? And if you go to our HTTP file, you see it is product underscore product ID, right? And not product ID. You remember this when we consumed external service, right? So this was the issue. Fine. So I can simply delete this CSV. Okay. Okay, that will also be a good example. Okay. So let's just finish it off. So delete this. Let me delete, this stuff also. Delete. I hope nowhere else we are having product ID. This also might fail. Let's delete this. Anyways, you don't have any content now. Are you getting the issue? So that product ID column was the culprit. Delete this also. Hopefully we don't have anywhere else product ID. Okay. Let me delete this CSV. Okay, fine. Let's do it step by step. I have time now. Fine. So now what you will see, the build failed, right? So let's see on CSV. Moment I push this code, it should trigger automatically. Okay. The webhook should work. Let me push this. Okay. So this failed, right? So there's no point in retrying. Okay. So this job failed. Okay. Right. So now if you see, if I go back, if I go to my code, I have pushed a new commit. Right. You see, just now I have committed another code. And now the webhook should again be getting triggered. Okay. So if I go to here, recent deliveries, I should you see one more at 7:57. Are you able to see this magic? You understood, right? How this webhook is helping us now automatically this should be triggered. Okay, you see now state is on. You see build number 4 has started. You see, and is you see the commit ID 1776432. If I go here, if I go to my code 1776432, this is my commit ID, right? Are you able to understand now how this webhook works? Good that we faced this error. So you are also seeing, how this webhook is. You don't have to trigger manually. Moment you push your code, automatically your CI/CD job will run. Okay. Any questions on this? Anything you'd like to understand more? Hopefully this time CSV, will not run into issues.
So basically, through that webhook, this job is getting triggered, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And this job has all these stages.
The stages will remain the same. So what we defined in the
Mhm.
job configuration, right? The stages are
Mhm.
these only, whatever we
Yeah, that's what
defined.
like these stages are different in the job con.
Exactly, exactly. So, do you want a class tomorrow for your doubts, or you can ask me over the phone? Uh, okay, so finally it is green now. You see this?
Mhm.
Okay, so all the issues are resolved. CSV is resolved. The build number 4 is all done. Okay, and you see this tick. Latest build is green.
Mhm.
Success. Okay. All right. Then now if I come here, so my application should be there and it should be in started state.
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and then, everything should be there. Even HTML5 apps, right, will be
Yeah.
there. Yeah. You see? Definitely,
Yeah.
our role collections and all those things, right? Role collection should
Mhm.
still be there, but yeah, work zone related, whatever configuration we did, right, after deployment, right? So that you have
Mhm.
to recheck basically, but it looks like it is there, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, that didn't get disturbed, right? But it
Ah.
can happen that, some of the roles are having some issue. So just, you see this order admin or order management admin, the roles are gone, right? So I have to reassign,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So those resetting up has to be done. Basically, the app name might have changed, right? So if I
Mhm.
just come here, you see this suffix at the last, okay, this might have changed. So you just have to
Mhm.
reassign the roles. That's it. But
Mhm.
yes, definitely the CI/CD setup will be initially done, right? Not at the
Mhm.
last. But yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
I hope you have understood the flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Uh,
Rohitan.
thanks,
These
and
sessions
thanks,
were
Amit.
really nice. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Have a great
Yeah.
day.
Thank you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.